All right, all right, all right. It's Zedmont. I am here to do it's RifleMania today, and as you may or may not know, I love using rifles. This account has boosted troop health, which makes rifles even more ridiculously overpowered. I have one few. Actually, I'm gonna boost this too. What the hell? I have one fewer damage statue on this account, so only 110%. Only in bunny ears or air quotes, or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna clear my whole map. Gonna just crush everyone and their hopes and dreams. I have been trying to do a critter, how to use critters, or a critter guide, or something like that. So I'm gonna try and include that into this, just because I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do a just critter video. I just couldn't get the quality I was hoping for. My map is jam-packed. What do we got? We got 166 freed villages. I don't know if you can see that there. So we're gonna see how many I can get that up to. I'm not sure. I'll try. I'll include NPCs just because. But actually, I'll start with it. Talking about critters. Like a lot of the NPCs can be done using only critters. The nailed is not one that I don't think I've been able to do with only critters. So I'll show you how I do it unboosted. I do it this way, unboosted with zookas. I'll do it boosted with riflemen, but all it takes is critters, and this is the number one thing that critters are good for. And that is just straight up drawing fire. Obviously they do a little bit of damage, but more importantly in this instance is they will just draw fire. They are closer to, because of their short range, they are closer to the sniper towers than anything else. So the sniper towers will shoot them. And I somehow managed to lose 2 troops, but with zookas and a little bit more range, I never lose troops on this. You just keep dropping critters out in front. And critters, I mean, they make great cannon fodder. So that's the number one usage of critters, is just drawing fire. Single shot defenses have no chance against critters. The number 2, this will be a good way to show off the number 2 thing that critters are good for. Now, you'll notice that I never ever clear clear mines with critters, because you lose your delay. And if you don't know what the delay is, then shame on you. But you just need to figure out. I have a video called, I believe it's called like Meat and Potatoes, or Back to the Basics, or something along those lines. And you see right now I've already lost my delay, which is pretty common with the rifles. So by throwing critters, all of the rocket launchers will attack the critters because they're closer, and my medics will attack the headquarters, and all is well. So basically what these critters are doing is they're becoming the closest attacking troop. So what you want to do is use your critters to distract as many defenses as you can. Typically, if you're using rifles or zookas, you want to use them to distract rocket launchers, shock blasters, stuff like that. But if you're using tank medic or scorchers or stuff like that, you use them to distract against boom cannons and doom cannons and stuff like that. So really it depends what troop composition you're using as to what you're going to want to distract, but critters are the primary use for me, and for non-armored troops is just straight up distraction. I don't like to clear mines. I'm going to say that a ton of times, because you've lost your delay the second you do that. So I don't care about losing 1 rifle to the boom cannons, but right now those back rocket launchers don't know I exist, and if they don't know I exist, I can get off a few more shots than if they do know I exist. So I think I've been peaked by at least 1 rocket launcher. I'm not 100% sure, but just to keep it safe, I'll throw critters on the back doom cannon. Critters show up first, everything shoots the critters. Critters out front. Should have used a med kit, but you just want everything to shoot the critters. Basically, it's like the old expression, you don't have to outrun a bear, you just have to outrun someone. drop your critters out there, sacrifice them completely. Everything shoots the critters, your troops shoot the headquarters. So if you know, I don't know if you've noticed or you care, but for me, with rifles, what I tend to do is I tend to use a 3 smoke finish. That seems like a lot of GBE, but I've been able to clear my map at 950 VP using unboosted rifles. So it's not like rifles are completely weak or completely useless. So you can do it. It's just a matter of figuring out how to orient your troops. Like all of this guy's boom cannons and all that stuff is a complete waste against 208 rifles. Like this guy basically has no chance. I'm going to drop my critters in behind. I'll shock his shock launchers. I'll shock the flamethrowers in an attempt to keep my critters alive. And his rocket launchers just wasted all their shots on my critters. And my rifles just, I mean, I might have lost a few to those cannons, but if you have 208 troops, you really don't care. So that brings me to my next point, my next completely unscheduled, unplanned point, and that is don't throw critters on machine guns, don't throw critters on flamethrowers, don't throw critters on hot pots, which this guy doesn't have any. So if you throw critters on top of a flamethrower, they die. Like the flamethrower, they last a little bit of time. Actually, they're lasting more time than I would have thought, but for the most part, they don't last terribly long. So the reason why you'll see people shocking their critters, and I think this was a corner base, I think. Yes, it is. So the reason why you'll see people shocking their critters is because of what type of defenses they're throwing it on. In this instance, I'm going to throw critters onto that flamethrower that's basically dead, and by doing that, the critters would die, so I shock the flamethrower. Typically, doing that is a great way to avoid having to spend GBE to get rid of defenses, and it keeps your critters in the same spot so they're not moving away. Like I have an exact spot where I want my critters, and so by shocking them, they'll stay in that spot. I'm not hoping that the critters are going to do damage. I'm not hoping that they're going to remove the flamethrower or anything like that, but what I'm after is having my critters stand in one spot, take a bunch of fire, and buy me some time. That's all. That's all critters for non-armored troops are typically useful for, and they do a fantastic job of it. Especially with zookas. Zookas are fairly wimpy. They don't have a lot of health, and so by dropping critters out there, you can basically make it so the critters take all the damage, and that is fantastic. 1, 2, 3. And the reason why I drop 3 is because they have such short range. When you flare the headquarters, they need to spread out nice and wide, and it's a little bit ridiculous how far they go. So I'm going to drop critters right here. 1, 2, 3. I'll drop a med kit in behind. You'll notice oh, I didn't see that laser. You'll notice that everything attacked the critters. Nothing actually attacked my troops, so I don't think I lost any troops. We'll see. That laser might have got one. We'll see. I lost no troops. So I'm just going to pause here. Back. A little bit of technical difficulties there. I actually did 2 attacks that I thought I was recording, and I wasn't. So these were just me talking to my screen when it wasn't recording, which is a little bit awkward looking back on it. But I wanted to show, for this first attack, I wanted to show how the delay works. I keep talking about the delay, and I've covered it in my Back to the Basics, air quotes again, video, but I wanted to show the delay. So right here, we drop critters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally the rocket launchers attack. So in their default state, the rocket launchers and doom cannon and shock launchers don't know that they need to fire. That's the best way that I can think of describing it. After they see something, they shoot instantly. So that's what the delay is all about. So The same thing happens with troops, and that is why I never ever ever clear mines with critters, because you're giving away that delay. That 4 seconds before rocket launchers fire, you can basically take down the headquarters if you have boosted zookas during. Like, my zookas a lot of the time, especially when I'm boosted especially, can one-shot the headquarters. So you don't even need to shock. And some people call that a flash kill. I don't know what the exact definition of a flash kill is, but you can actually remove the headquarters without having to shock launchers or rocket launchers or even doom cannons. But you have to have your delay. Like right now, I just lost my delay on the grappler. I lost my delay on the shock launcher, and I maybe lost my delay. I just lost my delay on the rocket launchers right there, actually. So not ideal, but it doesn't really matter in this instance. Had I have lost the delay with critters, those rocket launchers would have shot a heck of a lot faster. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and more critters and more medkits. Did I throw in my medkit? No, I didn't. There we go. So when people are talking about the delay is all about ranged defenses. Even mortars have a delay. If you get behind them, you can tell which way they're pointing by looking at them. And there are charts out there that show what has a delay, what doesn't, and what the delay of each of those things are. But the biggest consideration you can have when smoking is trying to keep that delay. Now this guy's base is a lot. Like right now, if I come into here, then we're going to have attacks coming from this way, we're going to have them from this way, we're going to have them from this way, the machine gun, basically all 4 angles. So what I want to do is I want to minimize the number of angles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop critters in front of me and critters in behind me. And that way if I shock this stuff and shock this stuff, I mean, I can get away with 3 basic shocks, because the stuff behind is going to deal with the critters behind me, and the stuff up behind the core is going to take care of the critters in front of me. So I have a real difficulty in explaining things that I use every day. Like for me, I've been using critters basically since day 1 they came out, and that's actually how I ended up in Ben Tim's task force. Was the day critters were released in-game, it was like there was a notification saying like, watch this video from Ben Tim on the new defense, or the new gunboat energy critters. And I had no idea what it was. I watched it. I was like, oh my god, this thing is the most amazing in the world. This Ben Tim guy knows all about it. So I joined his task force. That's as simple as that's all there was to it. Like there was no, let's go like this, let's go critters in behind, critters in front, shock, 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 shock. Little bit ugly, but again, that rocket launcher and mortar behind the core hitting the critters, this machine gun and these boom cannons were hitting the bottom critters. So I lost quite a few troops there, actually. That was not terribly pretty. But just when you walk into the middle of a base and you lose your delay like as badly as I did, everything is just shooting at you all the time. So had I have not lost my delay, that would have been much, much prettier. So now, again, every time I look at a base, I try and figure out where the best spot to go is. For me right now, I think it's going to be right about here, because then I'm only getting attacked from basically half the map. There's nothing behind, there's nothing back in here. So that's my basic how to scout and how I scout plan, is just find a spot that ideally you're in the blind spot of a rocket launcher, just because it takes one entire attacking unit out of play, even though you're with no GBE spent. That's not really an option right now, because I know that some of my rifles are going to get... you just can't herd rifles the way you can zookas. So some of them are going to go into stupid spots, and that rocket launcher is going to see them. So let's get them to back up, and then we'll move right up to there. There's probably going to hit some mines, but my rifles have enough health that I can hit a few mines and not worry about it too much. Just lost my delay. That's when you, like, as soon as you see things turn, You're just looking to see if things turn. Now everything's going to get out of this a little bit, so we're going to throw critters down here and medkit the crap out of everything. Medkits, medkits, medkits. You saw that hot pot would have completely nuked me, but it was going after the critters, so I got a little bit lucky there. If there's anything that isn't clear, please hit me up in the comments. Please, or if I make a mistake, please call me out on it, because all this stuff is just, I've done it 1,000 times. I don't even know how many times. It's too many. My base map clear already? And if you notice these little ends, I was trying to show off, there's a trick called the black hole, which works for warriors. I was basically trying to set up so that I could find someone with the black hole on my map, and I didn't get anyone, so I just skipped that video. There is a trick called the black hole, though. Be aware, it's very cool. It only works in very, very specific instances, but when it works, it's pretty cool. So I will, at some point, maybe show that. Let's get rid of this flamethrower just because it'll make a little bit more room for me to get inside of that. Kind of changed where I was going to go in the middle of that. Shock launchers, shock launchers. Now let's go right inside of there. And you see I've lost my delay again because I'm a noob, and so that's why everything's shooting at me so quickly. So if you keeping that delay is quite difficult with rifles especially. Let's go like this, drop some more critters, drop some more critters, drop a couple medkits, and then it'll go down. But first of all, rifles are awesome. Like, this is obviously RifleMania. It's not CritterMania, it's RifleMania. It'd be kind of cool if they could make critters like no GBE for a week or something like that, but obviously that would impact operations. So yeah, you probably just take down 1 GBE each. You could just take down many bases using critters only. But that's another thing that I wanted to show. Let's see if I can find which one is it. I hate. I should mention that I hate NPCs. I wish you could never attack them ever. But another thing that critters are fantastic for is after an operation attack, when you're all boosted up, you tend to have no troops, which is a little bit unfortunate, but the best way to deal with that is simply to take down NPCs using critters. So right now, I've got 78 GBE. On this one, you can drop them on the right to get some extra GBE, and then just straight up spam, drop some shocks, and critters will take down the base on their own with no troops required. So, and honestly, there is nothing more fun and satisfying than taking out an actual player base using critters. I had one on that I could take down with critters, and then I beat it with critters, and then I lost the recording. So, just to clarify, with critters, there's a couple do's and don'ts. I made a chart. Let's see if I made that chart here. So to do, upgrade them. The more critters you have, the better. You start with 4, you can get up to 12. There's not a lot of things in the game where you can upgrade to have, what is that, 3 times the damage, 3 times the health, or 4 times, depending on how you look at it. So shock them. Shock your critters. Don't shock your critters. The only reason that I know of to shock critters is A, to make it so that other stuff don't kill them, and B, they don't, if you shock them before they land, they don't actually make the mines go off, which I don't know how that would actually be useful, except for it would keep them alive a little bit longer health-wise. Embarrass bad bases, clear your NPCs, and then distract. Rocket launchers, shock launchers are the 2 primaries, but you can also do doom cannons and boom cannons depending on what troops you're using. Throw them before the shocks. I'll show you that in a second. Throw them after the shocks. I'll show you that in a second. A lot of people say that you should not throw them before shocks. Or sorry, that you should throw them before shocks. So like if we show critters move faster. That's just how they work. Critters to their shock to their will actually beat it. You see the shock actually beat it by a tiny bit, even though I threw it later. So what people say is they say you should throw your critters first and your shocks later. And that way your shock gets there, your critters get there, and whether your critters are shocked or not, it works out well. But what you can actually do is throw your shock first and then throw your critters, and your critters will do some damage. So obviously in this case, we don't care about that damage. It's not going to do anything useful for us. But there are some cases where you, like say for example on that, here let's find another NPC that I can take out with it. Let's go, what's the, come on. Elbow room is a classic example. Elbow room is so ridiculously easy. But 1, 2, like this elbow room is a joke. Especially when boosted. Like you can do this unboosted as well. It takes a little bit more. I've used way too many barrages here, but it can be done. I'm just trying to set up a specific example here. Like right now, if I wanted to clear that flamethrower, I can 100% use critters to do it. Like all you have to do is shock first, throw critters second. Your critters do some damage. It's cheaper than an artillery. It's cheaper than a barrage. But you have to remember that when people are saying things like always throw your people will say things like always throw your shocks first or always throw your critters first. They're talking about the 90-10 rule. 90% of the time you throw your critters first, your shocks second, but there are always exceptions to the rule. There's always going to be a reason where someone will say, well, in this instance it'll work. And it's true. Like anytime someone says never, it's me too. I always catch myself saying never. Like I'll never put down ice. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, the game might change dramatically, and then if you say you'll never use ice, you look like an idiot when you use ice. So just bear with it. Let's bring up my little art thing again. So last but not least, clear mines. Don't clear mines with critters. It's just a bad idea. There are some instances where it works, where you just, like especially on a corner base, where you don't care because you're going to have, it's going to be easy at the back. By all means, clear mines with critters, but for the most part, just don't do it. And even on Commodore, like, do we have Commodore up here? I think I saw someone with Commodore somewhat recently. No, I don't. It must have been on when I was jumping task forces. There are reasons to clear mines with critters, and there are reasons to throw them on flamethrowers, shock blasters, and machine guns, but most of the time, just don't do it. So let's get back to gameplay. Come on, brain. Oh, I wanted to talk about one more thing quickly. If you look at small 9, where is small 9? Small 9. If you look closely, you'll notice that TMOS, if I'm still in am I still in the task force? Am I still? Yes, I'm now. I've promoted Jesse to leader. I'm not in that task force enough. I'm there. I mean, I haven't missed an operation attack that I can remember, but my intel's only 24, and I'm just not coordinating nearly as much as Jesse is. Jesse is the man there. He has been running the show, so I figured I would promote him. I'm still there. Come on into small 9. But if you notice, I'm not the leader anymore. And I didn't want to be in a situation. One of the major task forces I was in, I was there, and we kept getting pissed off because the leader wasn't there. So I didn't want to get in a situation where people were pissed because I wasn't there. So I don't spend a lot of time in small 9, but I do go in and chat and do operation attacks and stuff like that. So come on in, come join. All of the triangle 9, small 9, baby 9 would love to have you. Let's do a couple quick attacks with rifles just for the sake of craziness, because some of these NPCs are not really set up all that well for rifles. And by not set up that well, I mean they're actually terrible. So oops, I keep doing that. I've done that a couple times in the last little bit. I've selected I've selected artillery instead of dropping and then dropped artillery instead of my troops, which has been a little bit awkward. Let's get the troops walking up through here. This is going to be ugly. Wrangling rifles is a skill that I still have not mastered. I'm going to drop right in the middle. It's kind of like the triangle smokes you use for operations, but a little bit different because they spread ridiculously crazily. See, like I dropped my critters on those flamethrowers, and I was hoping to shock them, didn't have enough GBE, and bad things happened. So I think that's it. That's all I got. I don't have much more to add on the critter front or the rifle front. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that heroes come soon. It sounds like they're not coming soon. I just read on the forums that we will have plenty of advanced notice, they said. So not anytime soon, it sounds like, which is a little bit unfortunate. So let's show one more critter wall, critter shield, critter madness. So again, same thing, just drop lots of critters out front, drop troops in behind, and then just watch in awe of the critters. Very, very easy. Don't have to use any shocks. You just keep the critters pouring out front, and there should be no the critters are always going to be closer. They have zero range essentially. So let's get rid of these actually, and then we'll get rid of these as well, and these, and then it's just, oh, I'm going to lose some over there, I think. Yes, I am. I always do these things with zookas, never with rifles, so a little bit of a brain fart there. Those mines definitely got some. That's all. I can't think of anything else as far as critters go. Like, just use them, upgrade them. They're super expensive, so it's a good thing to upgrade. I always recommend upgrading the most expensive things first, just because that way at the end of the day you can always drop your resource reward statue as soon as you're ready. Again, another base that we can take out just with critters. Gonna clear some mines. Probably could have just thrown some critters back there to clear the mines, but instead I didn't do that. Let's shock this as well. My click taps aren't coming through for some reason, it seems. And then last but not least, if you're trying to clear bases with critters, watching the critters hump the headquarters for 3 minutes is not something that's terribly fun. So just press the button on your phone and close the app, and when you come back into the game, the attack will be done. And it basically just simulates the critters humping the headquarters for the rest, and you come back and bam, the base is down. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to wait around. A lot of people say like they don't like to use critters on NPCs because it takes too long. Just close the app. That's all it takes. On iOS, double-click your home button and swipe it away. On Android, on mine, I press and hold the home button and then swipe it away. Pretty simple stuff. Works great for Scorchers too. If you have boosted Scorchers, you just drop them and then close the app. It works fantastic. Let's do one more critter demonstration. Rocket launchers in a perfect spot, so I'm just going to clear out the front of the core here. Let's get rid of these mines as well. I'm gonna see how I say never clear mines with critters, and then I go and do it. It's way cheaper to do it, and I don't care about my delay. So let's do that. I'm gonna drop my rifles to right here. And I'm gonna reflare them back just to get them back underneath the smoke, and then we'll go like this, and 1, 2, 3. So now everything is behind the headquarters. Like that's fair. That should be fairly apparent at this point. So I'm going to drop critters on top of the headquarters. We'll shock, and medkit, and everything. Well, I didn't shock my critters. My critters are dead somehow. But just again, that wall. That's all you want to do is make a shield in between all of this stuff and your troops. Hope that addresses all the questions people have about critters. I doubt it does. There are going to be some questions I haven't thought of. I queried some people. I read some forum posts. I watched some. There's a video by a guy named Savage Warrior. If you don't know who Savage Warrior is, shame on you. He's a fantastic player, or was. I don't think he's making videos anymore. But one of the things that he does with critters is he uses them primarily with warriors. So I'll throw a link to his video down in the thing below, but just be aware that he is using them primarily for warriors, which I wanted to do something that was more geared towards zookas or rifle users, since that's what I like to use. So 1, 2, 3, hopefully that's enough smoke. Now, I don't have enough GBE to shock everything, so I'm going to do the same thing all over again. I'm going to flare the headquarters, critters on the shock launcher, and now everything that is behind there should attack the critters. And meanwhile, I mean, I probably lost like 6 or 8 to these boom cannons and cannons, but who cares really? Just build that wall, just like Donald Trump. I only lost 2. Like, just build the wall. That's all you have to do, is build the wall and make them pay for it. Critters will pay for it. That's it. That's all. I got nothing else. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments about critters or rifles, please hit me up. I want to help. I want to teach. I want to learn. So please hit me up. I hope you enjoyed.